Over time, some of the greatest golfers say they really feel the swing with their trail hand. Ben Hogan said, "As far as applying power goes, I wish I had 3 right hands." Practicing the right hand only drill is a go-to for working on full swing or short game. There's gold inside the trail arm. Someone whose focus is training on developing just this is Justin Bruton. Justin has done extensive trail arm research involving 3D, science, and physics. Today, in South Florida, we'll learn what Justin has found in his 18 years of high-level coaching and research to get you using your trail arm more effectively than ever before.
So the first move is just to start to understand how we get the hand working up the line first, and then as we work back, the elbow separates from the body, and this is the key move. Any good throwing motion is elbow first, hand second. Okay. You watch an NFL quarterback, you'll see this motion, elbow first, hand second.
Sure.
You're gonna see a major league pitcher, you're gonna see the same thing, elbow first, hand second.
Right. The opposite would be this hand goes, the elbow's trailing, and it's almost like a throwing casting.
Yeah, and you also gotta remember when that happens to a player, not only they cast it, but now they have a lot of force in this club working against them.
Yeah.
You know, now they have to manage that at the same time. So we can learn how to keep the handle back, how to actually resist this out throw with these trail arm mechanics. It makes it much easier for us to get this handle down the line before we pitch it out. And again, this is much more instinctual. This is much more athletic. And I think for the players that have played sports over their lifetime, that have developed this coordination doing other things, they're gonna see this, they're gonna feel this, and go, oh yeah, that makes sense to me.
Okay.
Again, in motor pattern work, we want slow, light, soft. Those are the keys for motor pattern work. So if we do trail hand only first, no club, the first time I want you to put the club in your hand, I want you to hold it in. Make it really light, but now I see an object. I see a shaft that's more or less the length of the club. So now I can get some spatial awareness of how that motion that I just created and trained without a club is affecting the shaft in the club. And then again, that same feel. Hand works up, elbows down. As I keep turning, elbow separates. My first move is always gonna be elbow first, hand second.
Okay, so that's the big theme, is that make sure on the way down, you have that elbow leading everything else. The elbows first, okay.
And I think that's a setup move. I think you need to get to a place for most players that allows them to make that move in transition. Most people are really bad at reorientating the club.
Yeah.
We see this all the time.
If the backswing had the elbow working behind you or whatever, it's gonna be really hard to get it back into position.
Yeah, for most
down.
I think if you're gifted, you have great hands, I think you can pretty much have the flexibility to do whatever you want with the club and probably get it back to a spot where you want it to be before impact.
This is part of the beauty of training right arm only, is that it traps you to more or less make a pretty decent backswing.
Yep.
Guy Dale Lynch, great teacher out of Australia, was really big with doing a lot of right arm onlys. And I've watched him teach a few times, and just by making a person swing with the right hand only, it was remarkable at how much the backswing shape changed in a positive direction.
Exactly.
Where you go from that progression, now you're gonna sort of...
We need to add weight.
Okay.
And so let's turn it around, but I don't want to add the full weight of the club. We're gonna hold the midpoint of the shaft. So now I feel more of the weight of the club. I can actually start to feel now as I make this same little movement pattern, that little base move where I curl it up, how that weight of the club starts to change things. Actually, it feels like the club wants to twist my hand on its own way more than it did before. Again, that same feeling, elbow first, I have more weight, but now I have more spatial awareness of what I'm doing with the head. Now, I think once we go back and we see the head, this is where we really got to start bringing the secondary target into play. Everything we're doing here, the way I'm moving this club, the magnitude, the direction, is all in relation to my target. I'm playing pitch and catch. If I'm throwing something, I need something to throw it at. I need a catcher's mitt. So it's really important that now we have the awareness of the face, we can see it, let's match it up with something. So if I'm trying to hit a straight shot here, I'll take a straight target, a secondary target in front of me, somewhere between 5 and 8 feet, match that up with my primary target. I play connect the dots. This is how my mind works. The first dot's the golf ball, the second dot's the primary target, the third dot's the secondary target. So I'm finding the ball, I'm finding my primary target, and then I work back to that secondary target, and now all this trail arm motion that I'm trying to create, all this work I'm doing is in relation to throwing something at that secondary target.
I love that. Too many people, I think, confuse the target for being the ball. It's not the ball. It's out there, and the ball's just sort of getting in the way of the overall motion, right? So if that's the target, that's your intent, and you're moving in a way that's going to make this club fly through space, collect the ball essentially towards that out there target, the shape oftentimes gets a lot better. And just a little thing, just when you're choking up on it, you have the shaft working on the lead side of your body outside of that. So even though someone's maybe trying to throw it, there's still the lead with the right arm, and the hands are getting far enough by the time they get to impact that you have that nice sort of lean at impact look, even though you're throwing right through it in a sense.
I don't like a lot of training aids, but I think the club is your best training. And I think doing this drill, you actually use the grip as a spatial awareness training aid. So when I'm doing this, if I'm throwing this down the line, I know I don't want to throw it this way. And so now I can actually use the grip as almost a guide on how far down and out the club gets before it starts to pitch. And I think that's important too, because most players don't understand. The handle obviously works out. Players are trying to shallow it all the time, but the handle's got to work down too. And that downward on the arc actually helps me resist this out throw. And again, if in relation to that secondary target, it gives me this spatial awareness of now the handle, the secondary target, how those match up, and everything almost frees up. It's almost like I can't work out my mechanics without having a goal of what I'm trying to do.
Now, you would go from there, you'd grip all the way up?
Yeah. So what I would do, and this would be in the morning, I'd warm up, it's gonna be nice and soft. I'm just gonna start just taking some practice swings. And again, as I'm taking these practice swings, I'm always matching it up to my secondary target, really building that feel, and then I'll just sit here and hit some nice little, what I feel like is almost a soft toss. Not very dynamic. I have that secondary target in mind, and I'm just kind of nipping somewhere. They go 45, 50 yards.
Very
easy
low
shots.
Just nice and nipped.
Really soft. I can feel the weight of the club head, so it gives me a lot of awareness of how my body moves to support this. You know, we've been talking about the trail arm only. We haven't talked about the body at all. Body's really important. But I think this is almost the engine. This is the conductor almost to a point. And our body has to understand what to do around us. Our body's more of a supportive role to what we're trying to do. Just like if I'm throwing a ball, let's say I just want to soft toss it out there. My body's going to stay here. It's going to react to what I'm doing. I'm still coordinated. I'm still moving. I'm not locked up. Same thing here. I want to feel as I do this, these are soft enough that I have enough awareness of where the club is in space and what I'm trying to do with it, that my body more or less just kind of reacts to it. And once I build that base move, then I'm incrementally going to start to attach the lead hand back on, add speed, add length, but I should somewhat be able to maintain that same control and structure that I started with, just trail arm.
Next, we're going to get into getting that lead arm on there.
Yeah, that's the hard
part. It does
part.
play a role, but we got to understand what that role is and how that blends well with this trail arm mechanics that we're developing.
Absolutely. And again, it's the hard part, but that's where the genius is.